Hey everyone, I'm Mark,
And I'm Alex.
and this is Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks. Welcome everyone to episode 66. We're going to continue our Final Fantasy X walkthrough, and where we left off was in the Calm Lands. We kind of did some things. We kind of alluded to that there is quite a bit to do here, and so we are going to cover quite a bit of it. We went to the middle camp, right? We did the story aspect, we did the chess. Belgemine is here though, and she's actually kind of just slightly southwest. There's like these weird spikes out of the ground. I don't understand
Yeah,
this, man. It's kind of strange, but she's standing
they're
next to
like
one of the big
craters.
ones.
Yep, exactly. And they're weird because they're like little, circles basically, right?
Yeah.
Like a crater, almost like the outside of a glyph or something like that. The way she greets you is hilarious, right? It's like, "Oh, you again."
Yeah,
And then
it's
basically talks about how like, you guys are the traitors. You've been branded a traitor of Yevon.
yeah. And so you at first you're kind of like, oh, all right. So now you're
We're
just
gonna
gaining
fight?
up on us too, huh? But no, she thankfully she quickly kind of laughs and brushes that off, and then tells Yuna, she's like, look, summoners, the whole point is to kill Sin. You are not a tool of Yevon. Who cares about Yevon? You have a job. Do it. Doesn't matter about that.
And she's got a point too, I mean, everybody's kind of ganging up against us now. It's kind of similar to, I mean, going along with the religious theme. If you think back to the Dark Ages, the Middle Ages, and
Yeah.
things like that, how they used to persecute and just, there wasn't even a trial or anything like that. If you were found a traitor, if you were found, blasphemy or something like that. So it's a really interesting kind of concept that they go along with this. But yeah, essentially, the temple is telling everybody that we're the enemies, that we're the traitors, that we defied Yevon, so on and so forth. And luckily, Belgemine is not like that.
No, thankfully she's not. And well, just like the other two times, it's time for a Aeon battle. And so she she calls in Shiva, and you got a couple choices here. Obviously Shiva being ice. You could use Ifrit, but I don't know. I like to use Bahamut because I mean, why not?
Mhm.
He's cool, he's stronger, and all that stuff. And this should generally be a pretty easy battle to win. Now, man, I haven't really made it this far and or remember all this that much, in a long time. And so I used Bahamut today, and I was fighting Shiva. I don't understand, dude. I used Fire Aga, and it did 400 damage.
Yeah, I was actually just gonna say that. One thing that's crazy about this one is Shiva has a lot of HP. It seems like in really high defense because it's the same thing. I remember just you'll go for like a physical attack and do about 200 damage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
Fire
think the
Aga was
strategy.
doing, well, I only used one because I was like, whoa, it was like 400. And then his physical attacks were just doing 500. And so on the opposite, I don't think uses Diamond Dust with her overdrive because she did get all the way to the overdrive and then she used Heavenly Strike and the overdrive reset. And I was like, that's what you're
That's
using
weird.
overdrive for?
Yeah, and I thought she uses Heavenly Strike just normally. I'm not sure though, because I haven't done this battle in a while. But you're right. I mean, that's interesting.
And,
Because
and it didn't do
now
that
that I
much
think
either.
about it,
It did about
right?
400. She uses Blizzard and it attacks, and so it's kind of like a war of attrition here.
Yeah.
It goes on pretty long. So obviously, Grand Summon helps. I did Grand Summon. Mega Flare does like 11,000 because Bahamut's got break damage limit, and so that's gonna eat up most of it. I think Shiva has like 15,000, so you'll just have to kind of slug it out. But really, really shouldn't be any danger of actually losing this one, despite just maybe taking it a little longer.
Exactly. And the main thing is, another thing I think is hilarious about the enemy Aeons, between like the Asaru fight and this one, they miss all the time.
Yeah, they do.
It's like it's really just because of that. I don't even understand that because it's like, okay, your Aeons have pretty good
Are these
evasion.
not the same souls that we are summoning? I don't understand.
They come in with like different power based on the summon or something like
Yeah.
that, because like your Aeon's stats are directly tied to Yuna's stats. Whatever node she unlocks, they get a boost in that predominantly. So like mostly evasion, magic, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
It's an interesting system, but if you do win this, you get a pretty awesome prize. She gives you 30 power spheres, and you're like, wow,
you're
thanks.
thinking
I
like,
was at
what?
96, so you topped me off. Cool, right? I mean, seriously,
Yeah.
that is
That always happens to me too.
I get where they're going with this because it will tie into exactly what we're about to talk about for the other reward, which win or lose, you get the Aeon Soul. But like, dude, who isn't going to be maxed on power spheres at this point in the game? Like, I don't care if you just did a ton of battles here. You get them as rewards. So it's like, you know, you'll use them as you level up. And then the next battle, you'll probably get some and refill. So it's just kind of an
Yeah.
interesting thing that they chose that.
And to be honest with you, I don't know about you, but this is the point in the game where I start to need speed spheres because it seems like for a while nothing's been dropping speed spheres and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, the Aeon Soul, it's a cool one, right? So basically, she kind of gives you a little lowdown on it. You can now upgrade your Aeon stats. Now, this is interesting, right?
Yes.
Because how do you find use in this?
Um, I don't think I've ever done it.
Yeah,
So like I
yeah.
don't use Aeon, so
So,
I have never gone in and
right.
be like, "Oh yeah, let me upgrade
Yeah.
Bahamut's strength, dude." Yeah.
Uh-huh. And you'll see why she gave you 32 because when you go to the stats, you'll find that, like, for example, if you try to increase Bahamut's strength, you'll end up using like 70, 75 power spheres to increase it by 1 point.
1 point.
So I was gonna say, to me personally, the way I always do this is when when you're getting in your random battles and you're kind
Yeah.
of looking at your spheres and stuff. Whenever I get 99, I just use them. I'll knock them down to like 20, just giving them like maybe Valifor an HP increase. It never. I don't know that it's ever really helped, but this is just what I do.
Yeah,
And then I
just
think
so you're not sitting at maxed the whole time.
Yep, yep. The main use of this is to increase the ones that have the lowest stats because, for example, like NP, when they're at 80 NP, you'll maybe take 30 monospheres to increase by 10. So that's a really good return on that. But
Yeah.
some stats, you don't really want to deal with it because, again, like 80, 90 power spheres for 100 HP, not going to change your life.
Seriously. Well, so she also does talk about Remium Temple, which that doesn't mean much to us right now, but she says, like, if you want more training, you can find me at Remium Temple. It's hidden or something like that. This can actually be found if you go all the way back to where we entered from Makalania Woods. Rather than going down the path, you can turn right, but you can only get there by riding the chocobo. And it's incredibly important that you do go there, right? But we will actually not go there right now. We're going to return a little bit later and cover it at a later time. So, on that note of chocobos, as you were heading over to get that prime, remember that was always pretty much directly west of the little camp on the ledge. For that, I forgot to mention, so we got a new rank, man.
Oh, yeah.
Medani Day? I don't know.
I was just waiting for you to try that one. Yeah, let me take a
Uh,
stab at it. So if you've gotten all of them by up to this point, right?
yes.
You become Medanide.
But Mennonite, yeah, something. Who knows, man? Who knows?
We're doing our best here, guys.
It's hysterical, but you do get that. Forgot to mention it. But if you already went and headed over here and got this, you probably noticed that there was a lady on a chocobo. So you do want to go and talk to her, and you're like, oh, well, let me ride a chocobo, and she's like, well, essentially going through it, they got to be trained. They're trained by her. None of them are trained, and so there's no chocobos. And so you got a few options where you're like, let me train one, and then you got to go through like 3 times, like, yes, I want to train it. Yes, I want to train it. It's like, come on, ladies, let me do it already. And so once you get through it all, you get this little tutorial. And I love this point, man, because it kind of just teleports you to almost like the southern end of the bottom of the Calmlands. And like it
Yeah.
starts up with her and she's talking. You're like, okay. And then it zooms all the way over to you, and you're like, whoa, hold on. Like, how in the world is she talking to me right now? She's like half a mile away. She's like, hey, are you okay?
I was gonna say it's like some form of telepathy or something, she's just
Yeah.
speaking into your mind. Cause yeah, it's funny, it's like zoomed in on her, then it zooms out and you turn out you're about a mile away or something like that.
Yeah. She's just talking
But
to you. And it's like, oh, all right.
I hate these things. Yeah, these are super annoying, man.
I would imagine that's probably a general consensus. For whatever reason, these chocobos speak to me, man. I'm Classico, I guess.
Chocolate
I don't
whisperer.
know.
Seriously.
Wait for me. But no, so this first one, we'll soon find it's called Wobbly Chocobo, is kind of like the little training session here. is essentially you got to steer this unruly chocobo. It has kind of a mind of its own. It's untrained, right? Essentially is where they're going through this. And you gotta steer it between the trainer and her chocobo, kind of like the finish line, so to speak, within a time limit. That's
Yeah.
I don't, dude, what the time limit is 12.8 seconds. Why didn't you just make it
Yeah.
13 seconds? Like, why was it
Uh,
12.8? Like, come on, man.
look,
Like, this is an incredibly absurd, like, obscure amount.
average time 12.4 to 13.2.
Yes.
You know?
Take the
So they take
center
the
of
middle
that.
ground or something. I don't know, yeah. Exactly, and this is just so annoying because it seems like what it does is it'll just run automatically, so you don't even need to press forward or anything. As soon as it
Yeah.
starts, it'll run automatically. But the annoying thing about it is you're constantly trying to keep it straight because it's always just randomly going left or right hard, and
So,
that
yeah,
it does
sometimes
that the
violently.
whole time. Yeah, exactly, and that's what's so annoying. So, I don't know, man, if you have a strategy, I like to keep the analog stick actually forward and do subtle movements to the left and to the right to help to kind of moderate it. I don't know if you have a different way. I mean,
No,
you know,
I think that's how it is because I mean it's so random.
something like
It's
that.
completely
Yeah.
unpredictable. You got no idea what it's gonna do next, and so
But one thing, it'll always turn, like, it won't just go straight for more than 2 seconds. It'll do a quick turn. Either way, you just gotta keep correcting it.
yeah, it's annoying. There's like balloons on the side. It's like you're inbounds kind of a thing, and so you
Yeah.
just gotta essentially go through the path within the time limit. This one's not too bad. It's kind of annoying because it's unpredictable. Once you do this, you make it in a time limit. You can now ride chocobos here at this point, so you don't need to go any further into the training. You can say I want to quit, and then you can get a chocobo and ride it around. Which, yeah, I mean it's the Calmlands. That chocobo riding is very useful, and so you also get an elixir as a reward for this. So that's a pretty cool reward. But now you can go on. She's like, there's a more advanced training if you want, and we are absolutely going to do this. And so the next one is Dodger Chocobo, dude.
Yep.
I don't what? Okay, well, so
I love how you're just like, "What?"
the chocobo runs straight at this point, thankfully, right? So it still runs on its own, and now you can control it normally. Where are these Blitzballs coming from? Like, I don't like. This is just so silly. Like,
No, it is. It's just another thing again, hence the name Dodger Chocobo. You gotta try and avoid all of these things, and I don't know. Best way is just to zigzag, I guess. Gotta
zigzag,
get a
yeah,
little
they
lucky.
they come in threes, so boom,
Yep.
boom, boom in succession, and so essentially, if you keep it like kind of at a 45-degree angle, you can generally miss most of them. The thing is you
Mhm.
just don't want to really kind of go horizontal because you're killing time, right? So your time limit in this is 16.8 because again, 17 would just be way too easy. And the whole thing is you don't want to get hit by the blitz balls because if you do get hit, it kind of like stuns you for like 2 seconds. So that's, yeah, I mean, that's a big deal. Once you do complete this one, you get, a level 1 key sphere. It's like, okay, I mean, come
Oh,
on, man.
man,
Just give me another
so
elixir at this
bad.
point.
I know, exactly. And another thing I gotta say too that's happened to me that's really funny is you'll get hit by one, he'll freeze for 3 seconds, and then as soon as you get unfroze, you get hit by the next one when they come in those
Yeah.
clusters, like you said. So
Stun
it's
locked.
just yeah. After you get through that one, I find that one to be really challenging, but I mean, it depends because this next one's even funner, right? This goes into Hyper Dodger Chocobo.
Hyper,
And
yes.
what is this description?
She says, she says, balls and things come flying. It's like, okay, in
Gotta
things, what are you throwing at me, lady? Like in things, come
hey,
on.
watch out for the balls, man. They're coming.
Oh, yeah, the balls are coming at you. The things are birds. Why couldn't you just say balls and
Uh,
birds? But and balls and things. So yeah,
yeah,
there's just birds coming at you. Okay, and then this one is the blitzball kind of like comes out and does like this cluster bomb where it like rather than
yeah.
hitting to the ground, it explodes and shoots out like a rain of like six. Dude, it's dangerous.
It's like a proximity bomb almost. I can never really figure out. You just want to give it as much space as possible, but sometimes you get hit by like one of the little subsidiary blitz balls
Yep.
that splits off, It's so frustrating. The birds, these seagulls, man, they come in hot. Like
Yeah,
they are seriously moving. It's
yeah, they
this
are.
one's crazy.
Yeah, this one you got 18.5 seconds is the time limit, so a little bit more. when you do complete this one, apparently you were like the first one to finish it because she's really excited. She's like, yes, someone finally finished my trainings, kind of a deal. And I
She's
mean,
surprised somebody put up with it,
yeah.
honestly. She's like,
Well,
"Wow, somebody actually played my game."
never mind the cart of dead bodies that are like pecked to death behind her, because they had these birds penetrate them. I mean, God,
Ugh,
goodness gracious.
blitzball to death.
Blitzballed, yeah. Yeah, Waka accidentally put one of his spiked ones in there. Whoops. Sorry. This one you will get a level 2 keys for winning. And now she
Ooh.
actually wants to race you, and you do want to do this, absolutely. It's a new train that'll open up. It's called Catch Her Chocobo, as in catch her chocobo, right? Get it? Oh,
Ah,
nice one,
nice.
Final Fantasy.
Pun intended.
Yes. and it essentially, the course is from the Macalania entrance to the Calmlands all the way to the back exit of the Calmlands. And so it's a decent course, and it's got like some kind of things to it, right? To where now there's
Mhm.
balloons that you can pick up, which I just
Yeah.
it could have been Geisel greens, man. It could have been all kinds of things. They chose balloons. Like, how odd. Oh my
Hey, the
gosh.
original 99 red balloons, right?
Yeah,
You know?
there you go. But you do want to get
But
these balloons because they
mhm,
subtract 3 seconds off your final time. It's obviously still time based. Caveat is the birds are here. Essentially, will come in like 2 per person, so 4 total, but 2 will kind of zoom to the trainer, and then another 2 will come to you. Kind of be
yep.
mindful of that. But those, if you get hit by it, it's not just a stun. I mean, it is a stun, but now it also adds 3 seconds. So, ugh.
Yeah, you get a double penalty. And there's very specific spawn points for him, I found out too. Like the first section, when you're going on the top of that, kind of by that cliff, like
Yep.
you're on the top there, there's no birds at the first section. Once you turn that corner, you turn a 90-degree hairpin. Right on that section, there's a spot that they spawn. And honestly, there's so much we could talk about with this in terms of strategy and things like that. But in general, I think the frustrating things are the randomness sometimes of the birds spawning. Sometimes you'll just be in a really bad situation where it spawned right on top of you, can't avoid them.
Yep.
There's other things too where like it's got an invisible barrier that you'll find if you try to
Oh,
just steer the
yes.
chocobo all the way to the right, he'll keep bouncing off. So there's these invisible barriers you've got to learn. Sometimes the chocobo kind of does a random turn based on that.
In the birds, like you said, I think it's kind of like 3 spawn points to where
Yeah.
it's almost kind of like an L-shaped course with just a rounded corner, right? And so,
Yeah.
like, one will kind of be in the front, one will kind of be on the corner-ish, and then the last one will be in the final stretch. The balloon positioning is, I don't know if it's entirely random. I feel there's just like maybe 2 or 3 predetermined
It,
placements for 'em or something, but it does
yeah.
change each time,
Yeah.
so don't be expecting, them to be in the exact same spot.
It's almost like the, Final Fantasy 12 chess setup where it's random placement somewhat, and then it's also random appearance.
Yeah.
So you'll have just there's a lot of weirdness, but you will know that like you'll start to notice that yeah, this is a common theme of especially around like the 90-degree turn and right off the bat there's usually several. You kind of just I mean, we'll talk about like how we did and stuff,
Sure.
but you kind of have to get a little bit lucky because sometimes the best start is when you get 2 or 3 lined up right in front of
Right in
you
front of you.
right
Yeah.
off the bat. Because if it lines up in front of her, you can't get them. She'll just
Don't
gobble
even
them
go
up,
for it.
and then yeah, so you just gotta
Stay on
stay
your
straight.
side, essentially. Stay on your side. You start on the right, just go straight. You'll learn it. I mean, that's the thing. It really is just kind of trial and error with some of the things. And the balloons themselves, honestly, sometimes you will go through them and it won't even pick it up. And it's like, okay, apparently I wasn't like perfectly in the middle of the balloon or something, so that can be pretty frustrating as well. The winner here is determined on time, not necessarily placement. So even if she does beat you, but you got more balloons, or maybe you didn't get hit by birds, though one of the most hilarious things is like when you finished and you're waiting on the trainer to come and you just hear with the birds. You're like, man, she's just getting nailed right now. Yeah,
Yeah, and it doesn't say on the screen. It's like trainer got hit.
yeah. Trainer got
Trainer
hit.
got
Trainer
hit.
got hit. It's like, yeah. Been there. But so she could still win, and you can, the actual race itself, and you will still win overall in time if that's the case. But essentially, you get to the end, and then it kind of tells you like how many balloons you got, how many birds you got hit by, and then it'll do the tabulation and give you your total time. And so, no matter what, if you just win, you will get a level 3 key sphere. So that's actually cool. I think this is our
That's good.
first one, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe the first one, maybe I'm not sure, but
I only
it's a
have one,
really
and
good one.
maybe I used one, so maybe there's that. I can't
Yeah.
remember.
Threes, this is the point of the game where we were joking about one and two earlier, just because one and two essentially are just useless at this point.
Yeah.
Threes are gonna be your limiting
Yes.
factor now. And so threes are really important. And then, fours we haven't really got too much into yet.
Yeah, and threes are really important because as you get to the end of everyone's sphere grid line, to continue on without using something like a return sphere, teleport sphere, or friend sphere, they're all locked behind level threes. So to go on in the
Mhm.
grid, you would have to use a level 3, and so yeah, you definitely want to kind of be strategic with these. There's a hidden reward here, and it is if you get a time of 0 across the board. If you do get that, you will get the sun sigil,
Yep.
and well, we'll just go through this. So, like I said, man, Classico's my dad, apparently. I got his blood in my veins. I just know chocobos. I scratch them when they quay at me. But it is not uncommon for me to get 0 on my first try. it's
Yeah, I mean, some people get really lucky with it. Sometimes, I mean, I kind of understand that because I've had a lot of times where I'll try for an hour and won't get it. I'll get close, maybe like sub 5 seconds, and then come back the next day within a five tries, you get it. You just get lucky or
Yep.
something like that. I mean, it's kind of tricky because what I was gonna say is kind of similar to like the Dodger Chocobo. I find that just what helps here is once you turn that hairpin, you start getting into the bird zone. Try to just keep it at like a 45 and maybe make a slight hard turn if you see one coming in on you. They like to home in on you and they can curve really, really quickly, the
Yeah, they
birds.
can.
So you gotta watch out. Yeah, but generally speaking, they sometimes you get lucky where the balloons spawn in like a perfect 45-degree zigzag, and you just basically go
Yep.
zigzag back and forth.
Also, something you can do. If you keep the trainer in front of you, you can kind of use her as a meat
Yeah.
shield.
Yep.
So that's something you can do. Now you gotta, obviously the balloons, but as soon as the birds are coming, you can keep her in front. That's one thing. Honestly,
Yep.
I tend to not worry about the birds. I mean, I don't get hit, usually one or two tops, but I don't do the race with the intent of dodging the birds. I do with the race with, I need these balloons. I'm going for every balloon I can as the birds come. Sometimes I'll just go sideways instantly. Boom, they'll go by and then you just completely straighten out, right? Because
Yeah.
getting two
Mhm.
balloons overtaking a little bit time, that's fine because it's not like the other trainings where it's just you have no way of taking time off. You can take a little bit longer turns and routes and zigzag if you're getting balloons. Don't do that normally if you're not getting balloons, but if you're getting balloons, you can easily do that because a balloon's 3 seconds. It's not going to take you 3 seconds sometimes to go
Mhm.
off to the side real quick. So it is,
Yeah.
like you said, we could talk about this a lot, but that's typically what I do. Also, the last thing I will say at the very end, there's like the last bird spawn. I don't know how to describe it, but where it's at, this is
It
incredibly dangerous. Like, oh my
Oh, yeah, yeah,
gosh, like it's so close. It's really
you
hard
will get hit there.
unless you go to the left. So actually there's like there's kind of like a split. There's two paths you can take. There's like this tiny little kind of at the bottom of like a little tiny hill or something, or a small tiny little crevice. Or if you hug that, birds can't hit you right there. Like they literally can't because they're firing off in going across the screen horizontally, and you're going perpendicular to them, and they cannot turn that corner. They just can't.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's like a bottleneck at the very end, and so you can't go right on that one. I've tried that so many times where they do come around that corner and they tend to lean right for some reason.
Yeah.
So if you're left, you're likely be past them. They'll try to hit you. That's the funniest thing is you'll see
Yeah.
them curve left hard, but they'll just miss you. So as long as you
Heat-seeking
just stay straight.
technology, friend.
Oh, dude, I mean, it's crazy. They come in like seriously, they take such hard turns. It's tough to evade them. But and then I guess I'll just the other thing with this, the final thing, you're generally looking for, I think, to get 0, a pretty quick time just finishing it, and then somewhere around 12 balloons to one bird will do
Yeah.
13 to 1. If you get 15 to even 3, I think that might do. So it's somewhere around that range is what you
It's
want to shoot for.
Yeah, it seems like you need to have a surplus of 11 balloons at the end of it. I
Something
don't,
like that.
it
Yeah.
doesn't, well, and obviously your time will come into effect too, but it's not 3 seconds for the balloons. I think it's a little bit more than that because, for instance, on this one, so my first time I got 26.8 and I was like, man, I'm rusty. Second one, 11.2. I'm like, all right, I got this. Third, did it. And, and I got to the end. My time was like 36.8 seconds or something, right? I didn't get
Mhm.
hit by any birds, and I only had 11 balloons, and I was like, ah, because that's 33 seconds, right? I would have been off. I
Yeah.
got it. And I was like, oh,
That's
I'm not.
interesting.
I don't. I
Yeah.
think it's a little bit more than that, and that's why I think, yeah, probably like, of course, your total time's gonna affect this a little bit. But probably 11, 12 balloons, like you said. I think as long as you have a surplus of that, you should get it.
Something around that. I just find, like, once you start getting frustrated, just give it a rest for the day and
Yes.
start up another day. You come back at it, like you said, you'll just get lucky one of those ones. I mean, at the end of the day, it does kinda come down to luck, right? Because you just gotta hope that you get a good spawn right off the bat. You gotta hope that the birds generally gravitate towards her.
Yep, true. And obviously, you can do this right now, or you get the sun sigil, and there's nothing you can do for a while. So I mean, it's not like you should make it a goal to actually get this right now. So you got your chocobo. Obviously, it's great. You can ride it around, all that stuff. It's just, I don't know. I kind of recommend maybe against doing that though, just because these fights do help get experience and stealing items and all that stuff. And I would just kind of recommend maybe fighting these just for some things upcoming. But obviously, you do you. And then Remium Temple, now that you got your chocobo, you could go there, and there is some more kind of like racing type stuff that maybe you can do. And of course, there's some good rewards and stuff. But again, we'll just kind of get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, that's a whole 'nother thing. I mean, that's kind of one of the tough things
We'd
at the
spend this whole
Commonlands is
episode talking about chocobos.
right, right. So we'll have to talk about that one later, but has some really awesome prizes there.
Yes. All right, well, we are actually going to bring back doing some short segments. We're going to start with one. We're kind of thinking about what to do for this, and we didn't really want to go back to bold move or seed trivia. And so we kind of just decided we're going to just start talking about favorites or maybe even least favorites at some point. And it'll kind of just change each time. We're going to predetermine what we do, and so that way we have time to think about it and bring it up and all that. So we're going to get to it. All right, man. So this time we are going to do favorite airships. Now, sometimes we might split the Final Fantasies just so that way we can kind of hone it down a little bit more, because some things are kind of hard to compare across all the games. But in this case, since there's only one airship a game, favorite airships.
Yeah.
Been thinking about it, and I think we might be aligned, man. I don't know. It's not really that hard of a decision in my opinion. But
Oh yeah.
what is your favorite airship?
Honestly, the first one that came to mind is Final Fantasy VIII's The Ragnarok.
Ah,
I love that one. That was one of my favorite one
yes.
as a kid because it had the most awesome design. It even looked like kind of a dragon,
Yeah.
right? And then you've got that part later on in the game where it has like claws and its arms can move and
Yeah.
everything like that. It was just
Transformers,
awesome.
robots
Pretty
in
much.
disguise.
And the name, the Ragnarok, that's a classic, Final Fantasy reference. It's been around in the series for a long time.
Yep.
So, what about you?
This might surprise you, man, but
Yeah?
it's also Final Fantasy VIII's The Ragnarok. I mean, dude, the thing is so cool, man. I mean,
Yep.
it's a
You know,
spaceship, it's an airship, it turns and has claws. The thing itself, it just looks cool.
Yeah.
It's the only airship that they decided to actually paint a color. It's like it's red.
True.
All the others are like gray
True.
and stuff. It's like boring.
But it is kind of funny. Like there are so many. Honestly, I was thinking the High Wind was up there, of course. Final Fantasy
Sure.
7. There's so many good ones.
I will say my probably honorable mention is Final Fantasy X. It does look pretty sick. I like it,
Yeah.
and it's just I guess the reason why I probably like Ragnarok a lot more though is because you can actually drive it as well, and so
Yeah,
hey, that
that's
makes
true.
it
That
more
made it so much
fun when you can actually drive them.
Exactly.
All right, man. So getting back to it, we got some other things that we can do. If we kind of so obviously, if you finish Chocobo, it puts you right back where she was. There's actually a dude right next to her.
We'll talk about that later too, because that's a post-game kinda ultimate weapon sort of thing that's interesting, but, yeah, every time you beat the chocobo trainer, that guy will leave his post, essentially.
And he's blocking something right to the right, but we can't do anything with it yet, and we would have to do more chocobo stuff. So again, we'll leave that behind. But if you stay kind of on the north edge, you just kind of follow that along. There's actually a lady that will kind of be out there. You'll have to kind of go out there and approach her. And as you do that, actually, it goes to like a little movie stuff, and it's showing just like the big chasm in between, and she's kind of talking about like when the High Summoner fought Sin and all this stuff. And dude, you learn that it's none other than Lord Gandalf. He was the one that fought Sin here, man. And like, she basically says like essentially like in Sin's dying breath, it unleashed some sort of power or energy or something, and it just created that massive, just rip the earth and all that stuff and all that. But I was just like,
So
dude, look at Lord Gandalf, man. He's getting
yeah.
around.
Yeah, so basically he was fighting, the Balrog, is like, "You shall not pass!"
Yes.
Splits the ground open.
Well, see, here's the thing. He journeyed around Middle Earth, I mean Spira. He collected all the hobbits, I mean Cactars, and then he went and fought the Balrog, I mean Sin. So, it's we're seeing
It's a
some things
it's a
here.
parallel universe.
It's a parallel universe, yes. So, but kind of a cool thing, I mean, it's optional. You obviously don't have to do it, but it just kind of gives a little bit more. And then this is also actually a Blitzball player. So this is Svanda. I guess that's how you say it, Svanda.
Savanda. Yeah,
Svanda.
it's like East Russian.
Yeah. She's actually a really good starting player at level 1. She's got 10 endurance and attack, 8 pass, 15 block, 14 shoot. So you can put her anywhere other than goalie. I mean, you could put her any position. Probably a little bit better of a forward, especially with that shoot, and that block. Oh man, she's gonna be and attack. She's gonna be stopping everything for you.
Yeah, I mean, not bad stats at all, right? Again, what is so typical with a lot of these players is how they are at the beginning and how they are at the middle levels and then how they are at the end is almost like inverse.
Yeah,
So the block doesn't really grow much, which I guess isn't a huge problem because 15 block early on is beast. But
yeah.
the problem when you start getting closer to level 25, 15 starts becoming a little bit below average.
Falling a little below, and if you're just excited about that stat at first, well, it's gonna be 15 for 25 levels, right? I mean, it does not grow, and honestly, it ends at 38. Past like level 10, I mean, it's okay, but it's not gonna be good in the end, and not good for the rest of it. Kind of same with attack. It starts at 10 until level 20. So, I mean, gosh, if you picked her up without reading a guide or anything, back in then, you're like, oh, dude, she's an awesome defender. And you put her back, and each other like, what is going on here? Like, why isn't your attacker
Yeah.
block growing? Well, it's because it doesn't. And then the attack, I mean, it ends at 42, which sure, that's Jasu level, but we don't want Jasu level. So, it's not the worst because she's not a defender, but endurance is good though. Endurance starts at 10, it grows pretty competitively and ends at 85, so that's a really good one.
That's insane, yeah. I honestly didn't really know because I never looked into Savanda too much, but the other good one too is PA, right? Starts at A, grows pretty slowly up until about 50, and then it starts making crazy jumps. So it's about 8 to 39 through 1 to 50, levels 1 to 50,
Yeah,
and then goes all the way up to 92. So it's basically 39 to 92 on those final 49 levels, which
yeah.
is
I mean, that's crazy,
just
man.
insane. So, yeah, exactly. And then the shoot's not too bad, right? I mean, it grows a little bit, level 25, 30, then falls off, ends at about 50.
So I mean, she's pretty good for early levels. Mid maybe is kind of her weakest, and then just because of the certain stat boosts towards the end, especially pass. Ending stats are 85 endurance, 42 attack, 92 pass, 38 block, 50 shoot, 15 catch, and so she would make a pretty good center. I mean, she would. She's got
Yeah,
the
that's what I'm
endurance
thinking.
to survive plenty of attacks and encounters. Pass can go through everything. Decent attack. I would like a little bit more attack and block, but that's okay, I mean, and honestly, 50 shoot, you
It's
will probably be able to score too if you want.
exactly. And the other nice thing about having a center with such high endurance is you can also use her like the defender to kind of draw him around the edges, and
Yeah,
do that kind of stuff.
true.
So, yes, Fonda, she's pretty good.
Pretty good. Yep, not a bad option. we got a couple more things to do. So if you kind of just head towards the east side of the whole area, you'll notice this like little
It's like a
enclave.
canyon or
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
yeah.
I don't know,
It's like a canyon in the cliff, basically, you go through there, and you end up in this, this really weird place,
dude.
right? The
I mean,
first thing that
seriously, if you
hits
were
you
there
is
the first time, you're like, what in the world is this?
first thing that hits you is the music.
Brr, brr, brr. Dude, I love this track. It's it's Bravely Forward is the soundtrack. I love it, man. It's pretty cool.
It's
Honestly, it's
awesome.
reminiscent of like to me of like the Final Fantasy X Monster Festival. You know, it doesn't I
Yeah,
don't
I
think they
agree.
sound too much, but it just kind of I don't know, it
I
gives me that vibe, you know, and stuff. And
It's the trumpets.
there's like this giant bossilus snake thing. Like if you you know, the head is obviously it's animated, so that's what attracts the eyes, but honestly, if you just like kind of you just follow it, it's massive and it wraps around like almost the whole entire area and stuff. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and the hilarious thing is you go up to it and you talk to it, and it's like, "It's alive," or something like that,
Yeah,
you know?
it's alive. It's
Super
like
weird.
it is kind of a really strange thing, but there's this like bum looking old guy, right? He's just in the center, he's just chilling there, and well, he gives you the lowdown that this was apparently a training arena that Lord Mehend built for the Crusaders. So cool, I guess. Whatever, he just built it in the side
Cruise
of a
of
mountain.
what?
Cruise a what? And honestly, if you look at it, it just looks like a mine. You know, it looks like a mine shaft. You
Yeah.
look, it's like, okay,
Yeah, it
man.
does. Yeah, it's got, like, the, basically the ceiling supports, like,
Yeah,
the 4 by 4 things on the top and stuff. It just goes into this dark cave. I guess that's where it keeps the fiends, I don't know.
I guess, yeah, you can train and fight fiends here, but the fiends all got away because I screwed up. Is what he said. It's like, would you leave the door open? Like, and by the way, we have seen these fiends. Where are they through that door is where they're escaping? Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it's like, why not just put up a fence?
dude, so here was the problem, honestly. I don't think this guy was to blame. I think what happened was 10 years ago, Orin got in there and he was like, "We search. There is a exit." And so the monsters, he let them all out. There's
Yep,
always
yep,
an
and you
exit.
know what? There's actually even, in Final Fantasy X2, there's even more to that. Yeah, there's more of an explanation. There's, like, more to that place and stuff like that. Maybe that's the exit he was looking for, I
Yeah, I
don't
don't
know.
yeah, maybe, I don't know. Pretty funny, but no, it's pretty cool. He kind of wants help capturing some more monsters and he promises some nice fat rewards and they are fat indeed. You want to do this. Well, and this is what I like to do. So, how you do this is you need to buy some capture weapons that he says he'll sell to you real cheap and say, "Yeah, I'm sure you will." What you just need to get killing blows with said weapons in battles and then you'll capture them. You can only collect 10 of each one and all that stuff. And he also does sell items and there's a save sphere here also if you just need that. It's kind of a little nice stopping point. For the capture, I don't know, man. I usually just buy like a couple of them. I might buy a piercing one and maybe like either on a normal playthrough might do like Walker or Titus and I'll
Yeah.
just leave them on. I'll kind of make conscious attempts here and there to capture them in battles for pretty much the rest of the game, you know, and maybe swap them out for boss fights, obviously and stuff. I
Yep.
kind of just do it that
If
way for at least the beginning here.
Yeah, if you wanna start doing this, you gotta get 2, right? And I agree with you. I usually get 1 for Titus or Waka. These weapons suck, that's the other thing that makes this so difficult. They're 2 slot, and 1 slot's already taken with captures. So,
Yep.
it is kinda tricky. What you'd like to do is put something like, Stone Touch, Death Touch, something instant KO really helps out because if that works. And then the other one, I mean, you kinda have to have one that's piercing. I feel like that's a must-have because of the amount of shelled enemies, armor enemies that you just won't be able to kill if you don't have piercing. So, the other thing with this is so the way the rewards work, and we won't get into those specifically now, but basically you get 1 big reward for getting, a certain number of fiends within each category, and you also get a reward for getting all of the fiends in an area. Once you capture enemies as well, you can pay him to fight them individually here. So say you capture a coyote, you can fight them just over and over and over again and farm items.
Yeah, that's kind of the benefit. You got to pay a little bit, and then you can just fight them. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's if you just catch one, well, at least one of every different kind of enemy in each area.
Yes,
That's
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 right.
its own
Yep.
reward. And then yeah,
Yep.
it's yeah. If you max them out, and you'll eventually start gaining the species, and then you get that stuff. But I mean, these rewards are fantastic. I mean, usually they'll equate to just one customization, but they'll be like the best ones, essentially, for the most part. And so, really good stuff. Definitely want to do it. And I think he does mention like you could start out here in Calmlands, and he even tells you there's 9 different species of monsters here, and so you can go and farm some and all that kind of stuff. But I like it, man. I think it's kind of cool because it just kind of gives you, I don't know, like kind of a little side goal in each battle. Like, oh, I haven't encountered these guys yet. I want to capture them and do something like that.
Yeah, exactly, and it gives you a reason to go back to the old areas and everything like that.
All right, well, I think that's about it for the area. I don't think there's much more that we haven't covered that we want to cover. So at this point, you just gotta exit, go all the way to the north where we know now. Goes into this next area. There's a Say Sphere there, and as you move forward across the bridge, there's just some Guado dudes coming up, right? And it's like, gosh, man. So all of the Guado are just gonna back Seymour no matter what? Is that what it is? None of them have a brain? I mean, look, now I know he's sent, like, these are his goons per se, but it's like, geez, man, not looking good. Although, you got the Guado Glories. They're just playing Blitzball. They don't care about any of that stuff.
Yeah, and the other thing that's really funny about this one, right, is he comes up, he's like, Maester Seymour summons you. And he sounds like a human. He doesn't
He
sound like a Guado to
sounds
me,
like
but
a British
I don't
butler,
know.
man.
Yeah, yeah. And then basically it's like, well, we're not going anywhere. And then he basically just goes, I warn you, he doesn't need her alive. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's
all
like,
right,
all
well, we
right.
know what's going to happen.
Yeah, there's some big bumbling and rumbling, and it just shows like this giant, I don't know, stone machina thing.
Check
It's
out those forearms, man.
dude, those forearms
Slice
are
up.
huge, and then like one he has like one normal size shoulder, and the other shoulder is just massive. It's like it's pretty cool looking, but well, here we go. We have a boss battle. It is called Defender X because
Yeah,
why
why
not,
not?
I guess.
Yeah, this guy's seriously tough, like you said, and you could tell, right? We're at that point where the bosses are whole nother level now. He's
Yep.
got 64,000 health. He's armored, so that's already really, right off the bat, you're thinking armor break, things like that.
Yep.
He has a lot of really annoying moves. The main thing is he's just basically gonna one-hit KO a lot of people. His attacks do about 1,500, his normal attacks, and then he has a Haymaker move that I think is even 100% too. That's another dangerous thing about Haymaker. It hits seriously hard, over 2,000, and so even with Protect and Defense, stuff like that, he'll take out Lulu, he'll take out Yuna all the time.
Now, well, so here's some things. Is obviously tier 3 magic's incredibly useful at this point. And man, I just like last time with Seymour and Yuna got reflect right before in the last battle. Dude, last battle before leaving, I was able to move Lulu to get Waterga. And so I was like,
Oh yeah.
oh, it's perfect. So I got that. I used a black magic sphere on Yuna to get it as well. So I went prepared into this battle. So there is that, right? And I think also just not swapping out my characters and stuff, somehow my 3 are like stronger than usual. I don't really know how that works, but
Yeah.
maybe I've just
And
been
an
doing more
interesting
battles.
Yeah, it could be that. I mean, another thing you can do that's really cool is kind of a old school Final Fantasy thing is cast Reflect and then cast Fire Augur, Water go off of that, and you get, I think, 1.5 times damage or something like that.
Yeah, you just gotta be careful with the healing. Sometimes I forget or haste.
True.
I did that actually on the Seymour battle. I'd reflect and I hasted Kamari, and I was like, oh no, I put it on Seymour. I was like, oh
Oh,
man.
no, that happens to everybody, seriously. Another really crazy thing, so we're at that point now too, where these bosses they start to have stages, right? And once they get under 10k health, they get into like overdrive mode, so to speak, where they get boosted stats, abilities, what have you. We kind of saw that with Seymour when he started using Flare. This guy, he starts to use Mighty Guard right off the bat. Then he starts casting Sloga, which is pretty interesting.
I guess the tactic for this is you definitely want to put protect on all your characters, right? You
Yes.
definitely want to do haste, protect. He is immune to pretty much anything, so don't even waste your time other than just doing breaks and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, even with protect on Lulu, yeah, Haymaker hit her for like 1,800, and I even cheered a couple of times as well. And so
Yeah, yeah.
it's you want to prepare for this. He hits hard. The other terrible thing is that he counters physical attacks. Well, actually, I think he just counters in general. but I think it maybe happens more often with physical attacks. I don't know, don't quote me on that, but he does that with Blast Punch, which in
Yeah.
itself isn't that much with Protect and stuff. I think it was hitting for like 800 to 1,000, but it has a delay
Yeah.
effect, and so that's not ideal.
The reason why Blast Punch doesn't hit too much is because I think what it does is it takes half your HP, but if you've got Protect on, it takes a quarter. Something like
Interesting.
that.
That
It's
would make
proportional.
sense. I think yeah, I think
Yeah.
they did have around 24, 2,500, so that would line up. But regardless, yeah, the fact that it's just extra damage based on counters and the delay effect, so he's got a lot of those things. But yeah, 10k Mighty Guard. I don't know, man. Like mine didn't do it. I got him down to under 10k. He took a turn and he didn't use Mighty Guard or cast Sloga. He
Mhm.
just did a normal attack or a Haymaker or something. And then I killed him after the next couple turns. I was like, wonder if he bugged out or something. I don't know. I mean, he was for sure. He was at like 6,000 health. So, I mean, he was for sure under 10,000.
Yeah, maybe it's not like 100% that he uses that
Yeah,
or
but
that he
if he
can use
does,
it.
I mean, Mighty Guard. That's you want to dispel that if you have it on Yuna, absolutely. And then of course, just Sloga really throws a wrench in your haste plans because you got to rebuff and do all that stuff. And if you have haste Aug at this point, that's an easy just counter to do. But still, in the end, I think it really did help having two magic users on this because I mean, Kamari was gonna do next to nothing. You know what I mean? He was gonna be doing like 1,500, 2,000 hits. Meanwhile, Yuna's
Mhm.
over there popping off water goes for like 5.5 thousand. So,
Yeah.
her and Lulu doing those was actually it made it go pretty quick. Once you do defeat him, you will get a level 2 key sphere. Woohoo. So, it's like, hey, we get those like candy.
You can teach one useful thing for the level 2 at this stage is to teach your Aeon's armor break. That's
Yep.
something that can come in handy because it's a lot better than, I mean, honestly, at this point, you probably unlocked a lot of the level 2s. They're not hard to get, so feel
Yeah.
free to use it for that or something.
Pierce 2,
But
piercing I think is what it is. Like that's what I got Kamari's
true.
capture
Yep.
weapon and I put Pierce on
Yep.
there and so it's helpful.
And in this little spot, this is kind of cool, right? Because you have no music, like there's no Calmlands music or anything playing in the background. It's just completely quiet. There's no encounters either. You could just kind of run around here, and there's like these little decorative poles that kind
Yeah.
of leading the way of
They
the
have like
trail.
ribbons on them and stuff. I don't know what they're supposed to
Yeah,
mean. I don't know if they are just pure decoration or maybe it's like fallen summoners. I mean, I got no idea.
yeah.
Pretty cool. But there's the bridge, which you could go across, but there's that path where essentially where the Defender X came up that you should head down. And when you kind of start to approach it, there's a small little conversation where Tyus is like, this isn't the way. And Lulu's like, that leads down to the valley. Waka, wow, you really know your way around. Huh? Because she just walks off, she doesn't even respond. She just walks off. He's like, huh?
Lulu gets around, man. I'm telling you.
She gets around. Come on, Wonka, she's been here, man. You should know
Yeah,
this. She's been here twice.
yeah. So if you go down there, you go down into the chasm, I guess you can call it at this
Yeah.
point, and there's a big old landing, like this giant, flat area. There's a person walking around there, and you get a little bit of information about another high summoner, Lady Yoken, Crusader turned summoner, trained and is sacred to the
She's
Crusaders.
sacred.
Yep.
Okay. I thought they all were, but she's particularly sacred
Well, high
because she
summoner.
was a crusader. Valuing your own a little bit higher, are we? Mm-hmm. Well, there is a
Yeah.
cave that you can see on the left. We're just going to completely skip that for now. We're not even going to cover the little story that, is there. Forget that altogether. Instead, we're going to go all the way to the right, all the way at the very end. Now, there are battles here, too. So it's not like there's
Yeah, at
no.
this point, there's encounters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and these are actually part of that cavern encounter. So you'll get some of those, whatever those creatures are back at Boj Temple, like the little blade lake
Uh,
things.
yeah, it was called, Click. It was like the
This,
first boss.
yeah,
It was
this one's
that
called
thing,
like
like the spider-looking thing.
it's Epej, Epa. I don't even know
E
how to say it.
Epaw. Yeah, yeah, you're right.
EPAAJ is what these are, and so
Oh, Epage, yeah. They cause poison a lot, and they're just
oh yes,
generally annoying.
they usually just come either in pairs or with some machinas. They got like 9,000 health, so it's a
Yeah.
little hefty, but so just be aware that is there. At the very end, there is a sword on the left, and you might not think of anything of it, right? I mean, it's just decoration, but definitely want to pick it up because it's a rusty sword. who wouldn't want to pick
Yeah.
up just a rusty sword off the ground? Tyson's like, this looks cool. I like rusty swords.
Well, and this one's hilarious too, because there's not many items in the game that you can actually see on screen like that, right? Because you'll
Yeah.
literally go down there and you'll see just this sword kind of between these two columns, just stuck in the ground basically, and you pick it up, and yeah, it's a key item. It's used for, again, an ultimate weapon in the game that we'll get into, but
Yep.
you can either collect it now, collect it later, doesn't matter. It's not missable.
And then, well, on the other side, right across from it, is this dude, and his name is Durin. And well,
Oh,
he
Durin.
is a blitzball player, and if you turn into your local dictionary and you look it up and you find the word excellence, it doesn't have Durin anywhere near it, because let me tell you, this guy
Oh,
sucks. Actually,
I
there's
can
one
just imagine.
caveat in that, which is actually hysterical. But this dude, he's like quote unquote missable.
Yeah, I think it's once you go past once you go past a certain story point, he's no longer there. And this is just really funny because in the Final Fantasy X universe and all the, the chats and the FAQs and things like that, there's so many theories about what happened to Durin. And it's like, oh, he died fighting Sin or something like that. It's just hilarious because, yeah, if you come back here at a later point in the game, he's just gone.
He's
And you
gone.
can't find him anywhere else in Spirit. Like, he's not, he just vanishes, apparently.
If you have him on your blitzball team, does he just disappear off your roster? Do you know?
No, he'll stay if you
Okay,
recruit him. It's only if you don't recruit him or you don't have him on your team
don't get him
once
in
you go
time.
past
Yeah.
that certain story point, then he won't disappear.
Okay.
But I guess, yeah, it's a question of why would you want to have him on your team?
That is a great question because, dude, this is actually insane. I was looking at it in the book, I was analyzing them as I do when we come across these players. I was blown away. So he starts out with 12th catch. The rest of his stats aren't really great. You'd want to use him as a goalie. It's better than Keepa, right? I mean, Keepa's at 6 probably after that first game you had to play, and so not as good as Jamal, but by level 5, he's already caught Jamal. So, keep that in mind. For Keepa to catch him, it would take till level 45. So he
Yeah,
is
that's
better than
crazy.
Keepa for 45 levels. In fact, from levels 5 to 30, he is the second best goalie. I was looking at this. I was looking at his catch compared to all the other goalies. He is second best. Nimrook is obviously just always the best. Up to level 50, he's third best still. So even up
Yeah.
to 50, he is the third best goalie. That's all you're getting out of him.
I
That's
know,
it.
that's the thing that I was gonna say is interesting. He's like an early peaker, right?
Yeah.
Because his catch, essentially, like what you said, you're at 30, at level 50, it stays 30 for the next 20 levels. So you can imagine the player sitting there, you just watch and catch every time you get a
Yeah.
level up by level up. 20 times it still doesn't go up. And after that point, to really add, insult to injury, it actually decreases by
Yes.
6 on his way to 99. So it's like,
Dude,
man,
I
that's
know.
just
Can you
painful.
imagine this organically? I mean, this would be a lot of Blitzball too that you were playing, but
Oh,
you
I
pick
I
up
don't I
Durin,
don't think I could
you
deal
you
with it.
don't know you don't have the guide, you don't know anything, and so you get to 50 and you're like, dang, dude, this guy is still amazing. And then for the next 20
You
levels, you're
know,
like, what is going on? Oh no.
I guess at the end of the day, 30 isn't too bad, right? So you could live with that, and who's really gonna take him to level 99? But,
Yeah. No.
I mean, it's just the fact that it does go down is kinda sad, right? You at least want him to stay the stats stay the way it is or increase, but, yeah, they throw you curveballs sometimes in this with these players.
They do. And so his level 99 stats are 28 endurance, 25 attack, 24 pass, 33 block, 4 shoot, 24 catch. If you were to
Yeah,
add up
I
these
mean
values, he is the worst player. He has the
yeah,
worst stats out of
and
everyone.
on that, I mean, honestly, let's just say you had to work with that. He's gotta be a goalie, I guess. You can't really
24
play him
catch,
anywhere else,
man.
can you?
I
No, I
would
know, but I mean, it's the same thing with like
I would
28
rather I'd put
endurance,
him at a
24
defender, maybe put
pass.
him at center
Would
or
you?
something.
Okay. I mean, that's
Yeah,
fair. Yeah.
because the thing
Pushing
is
him.
like if he's gonna fail, I'd rather him just fail at block and give my goalie a chance to stop the shot rather than like Durin is your last your last ditch defense. You don't really want that. You don't want him stopping balls. He's not gonna be able to.
Come on,
Come
Durin.
on, Durin.
That's right.
24,
No.
24 catch, dude. A level 25 Titus would be able to score on him, right? So
Or, I mean, another thing, you could just get Durin on your team. to save him from sin.
Hey, there you go. Save his life, guys. He
Yeah,
goes and
just
he
have
lives
a
in
heart.
the virtual Blitzballs realm, is what he goes.
Keep him as a backup. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, seriously, though, like, if that's kind of crazy thinking about that, right? I didn't realize this. So I was looking, I'm like, wow, he is actually the second best goalie. That's insane. Like, for half of the game, essentially. And so, not a bad Blitzball player then. Do not get him if you play it long term.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, that is going to do it for us. We like to thank you for just spending the time listening to the podcast, supporting us. We really do appreciate it. We have a website. It is Final Stop for FinalFantasyTalks.com. You can just go there, find some more info. We got links to socials, and the episodes are there too if you just want to listen to it. And we got the Blitzball stuff there. So all these cards, I'll get Duran's up there eventually. That'll be pretty cool. And so, we
Yeah.
just got that info for you, and it's just kind of cool resources to check out. All right, we'll catch you in the next episode. I'm Mark,
And I'm Alex.
and this is Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks.